And welcome to the Utah Hockey Podcast. My name is Kelly Queel. I'm here with Mike Wolf and Cole Bagley. We are so thrilled that we've had such an amazing week reflecting on our first episodes, and we've had so much love and support from everyone. We're so excited to do more, say more, get things done, and we're starting today in a big way with Stephen Ellis of the Daily Faceoff. Welcome, Stephen.
Yeah, hey guys, how are you guys doing?
So good. We're so grateful that you could be on today. Stephen was just at the NHL Draft Combine, and we want to know everything about it. Can you jump in and tell us kind of how the Combine works for people who haven't experienced it before?
Yeah, so basically from about Sunday till Thursday, or actually I'd say Friday, that's when most of the meetings happen. That's when the players get to meet with the team. Some of them go out for dinner. Just an opportunity for the teams to get to know these guys on a more personal level, because they'll talk to the players throughout the year, but not at a level where you get any really deep conversation. So this is an opportunity to spend some significant time with the guys. And even in some cases, you're talking to guys you aren't going to draft just because you want to get to know them, because you're going to be playing against someone at some point down the line. Then on Saturday, that's the toughest day. That's when they start at 7 a.m. and they do a bunch of different, physical drills. They do the Wingate bike, which is kind of insane. They do things like long jump, a high jump, things like that. So compared to maybe some other sports and their draft combines, like this one is not a ton of applicable skills. Like these guys aren't doing stick handling drills. They're not doing anything like that. It's all off ice, like jumping and things like that. But it's still a chance to get to see kind of their physical situation right now. A lot of cases, the thing I find most important to me is seeing the new heights and weights of these players. You see which guys have kind of grown throughout the year, which ones have actually, maybe lost some weight, and that might help them in some cases there. So that's where that part comes into handy. And then it's probably the best media availability you'll ever get in a season, because I think 90 players took part in it, and close to 80 players came and talked at some point. So you basically
really
don't
good
get
week
access
for
like
me
that.
to miss.
Yeah,
Really good week for me to not be there.
I will say, like I took pictures of every single player that was there, and having to, like, they don't really have a ton of great identifiers to say who's who, so you got to take pictures of like when they're walking up. You got to take pictures of their like name band somewhere, so that's tough. But then like you're running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then the players, like, they give you good stuff, because at that point their season's over. They're not playing any more games. They've just spent weeks preparing for these like hell on earth drills, and they're done. Like, they can go and relax now, and they're the most relaxed you're going to find basically any athlete at that point. It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like there probably is something to say for hockey player style too, making them all look relatively similar, especially when they're in college or in the juniors. They kind of all have the same haircuts. And so that identifying has got to be kind of challenging.
Evolve over the years. Like you look back, like when I was first doing this in 2018-19, there's a bit more of the flow going on. Then all of a sudden you got like that noodle hairstyle that just kind of showed up
now
out
it's
of
all
nowhere.
bleach, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's all bleached out.
Yeah. Awesome. So like you see Matthew Schaefer's hair and it looks a little more noodly. Like that's kind of what a lot of the players have gone for these days.
You got that nice flow going, most of them. Steve, for a lot of Utah fans, how the draft works and the combine and all that is very new to them. This is just the second legitimate offseason that they've had as fans. So can you kind of help us understand, or help them understand, the significance of teams taking players out to dinner? Because we got a lot of questions about that last week of, hey, why are they taking them out to dinner, and is this a normal thing? So if you could just kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, the dating of the NHL draft.
The speed dating of the combine.
That's one way of putting it. You look at it, and it's an opportunity, again, just to get to know these guys a bit better. And in some cases, it's like, some of it is business. Some of it's talking about like what type of player you want to be, like how you view yourself in this organization. In other cases, it's just like just having a good time, like as friends almost. And you hear about the questions that some of the players get asked on some of these things. Like the Montreal Canadiens love to ask the weirdest questions. And it starts off of, which animal are you? And that's, okay, that's kind of boring at this point. My favorite was like, if you were on a deserted island with someone else and you were given a baseball bat and a bottle of water, but there's only one bottle of water between the two of you and you can't share it, what do you do in that situation. And most of the players were like, oh, I would take the bat and beat the crap out of the guy and steal the water bottle.
Okay.
Which I think is probably the answer the teams are looking for.
Didn't Desnoyers say he'd hit a home run?
Yeah. It's like I don't want to know what that means in that situation. But in a lot of other cases, yeah, it's like it's kind of fun for that. So the going out for dinner thing, I think it's overblown. Like most of this is overblown when you look at some of the stuff. Like like they talk to like you'll see some guys who will talk to 29 teams. You'll find out which players didn't talk to that guy, and one of those teams will be the one that drafted that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's kind of just. To me, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but the getting out for dinner thing, like especially at the top of the draft, that's where you kind of get an idea of where teams are thinking about a player. Like I think it was Misa, I think it was Schaefer wasn't taken out by Chicago or something. There's a couple guys that were not taken out by top teams. I was like, that's okay. You kind of get they're probably not going to take that guy, but that's kind of what it is.
Well,
you get like guys who go for like 6 or 7 dinners. I'm like, you're doing the math. I'm like, did you have like 2 steak dinners in one night? That doesn't really add up.
I just think it's like that's the first time I've really clued in that they're interviewing them to know more about them as opponents. And you're right.
Yeah.
Like that's a good way to study them as well and what kind of player you're up against. It makes a lot of sense to take them out to dinner just to study them anyway. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one quote, I think it was a couple years ago, where a team took a player out for dinner, not because they were interested, but they had heard rumors that this guy was like the dumbest player they had ever talked to. I'm not gonna say who the player was, but they wanted to like see it in person, like how dumb this person actually was.
It's not a player on the Mammoth, or you can't say.
Well, it's not. I can tell you that, but
Okay,
I'm not
good.
gonna say who it is.
There we go.
So, just kind of 2 more questions here for you. There was a player this week whose stock seemed to just kind of go through the roof. That player is Brady Martin. Can you tell us why that is? Like, what about this kid helped him to kind of go from maybe a 9 to 12 pick to maybe being taken somewhere between 4 and 7?
Yeah, at the start of the season, not many people looked at him too highly because he was injured last year with the Greyhounds and was just fine in the OHL. But I wrote an article very early in the season, like probably September, October, saying he is going to be the biggest riser in this draft. And that's because teams crave players that play the way he does. Like you look at Sam Bennett, the things he's doing right now for the Florida Panthers. He's a menace in front of the net. He's creating his own breakaways. He's probably going to win the Conn Smythe at this point. And Brady Martin has a lot of those same elements to his game. He's physical. He's relentless. He never stopped moving. He's extremely smart. Like I'd say there's so many different ways of what makes a player smart, but I feel like he's a guy that, okay, I know I'm not going to beat this guy with speed. All right, I'm going to go beat him with my positioning, and it works so often. He's the best power forward in this draft class. He's probably the hardest hitter that I've seen of any forward, and he's one of the best two-way forwards out there. So you put all that together, you get a guy who's good defensively, great in transition, great on the attack. He's got a good shot. We saw him at the Hlinka Gretzky where he was at the season, like the beginning tournament of the year for U18 talent.
Yeah.
He didn't get a ton of points, but he was still one of the best players. Then you go to the U18 World Championship at the end of the year, and he was Canada's best player when they won gold. So this is a guy that rises to the occasion. He plays a playoff style hockey, and that's why teams are really excited about him. And I know there's so much talk about, like, is it a bit of a reach? Like, no, like this is a guy you want on your team. Like I polled some scouts at the draft combine, like which player outside of Schaefer and Misa do you see as the guy that could bring your team to a Stanley Cup? And Brady Martin's name showed up.
Wow.
And that's because he's as competitive as it gets. He never gives up on a play. He works hard. He's strong. He lives on a farm. He does it all. Like who needs off-season ice training when you can literally just like
Farm strong, baby.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Like my family, like my extended family is part of they run a farm, and it's like I know how heavy a hay bale is. I know how heavy cattle are, and he does this like all the time. So the fact he's able to do all that and be this good of a hockey player, like this guy's a special talent.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of his tape, his highlights, and he just has this like relentless, unforgiving motor on both ends. The way that he's tracking the puck, he's attacking defenders, he's forechecking, he's backchecking, and then he seems to be a menace near the net, whether that's getting in front of the crowding the crease and blocking the vision of the goaltender, whether that's, taking shots. His catch and release looks to be really impressive. I know that some people have said, hey, this shot is pretty close to NHL ready. Is that something that, you feel like is accurate?
I could have said that about him when he was 15 years old.
Wow,
and
goodness.
that's the thing. Watching him play at the AAA level a few years ago, the OHL Cup is one of the biggest tournaments we have in Ontario. It's all the guys going into the OHL draft, and it's extremely competitive because it gets the best AAA players basically out of Ontario and Michigan together. And he played on a Waterloo Wolves team, I believe it was, that just, if it wasn't for him, that team was nowhere near going to make that tournament. And watching him basically control the tournament, one of the best players in that tournament with very little help, was a sign of what was to come. But he also, it was one goal in particular. There was myself and a very few people in that building. He went end to end, deked out like with some incredible moves, about 3 or 4 different guys, and scored one of the best goals I've ever seen in that tournament. Sure, it's against 15 and 16-year-olds, but he was that much more skilled than everybody at his own age. And then you go to the OHL and his game isn't about skill. It's about all these other things. And that's because he's had to be, every team he's ever played on, he's had to be the guy to get it done. And you see that with the Greyhounds this year, where he was, if it wasn't for him, man, that team would have been terrible, not even close to a playoff team.
Second in points on the team, right?
Yeah, he did so much heavy lifting of that team, especially early on where they were missing some guys. So, and when you look at it, the guy that was ahead of him was an overage player. Like for him to put up the numbers he did with very little help as a draft eligible is extremely impressive. So, like Brady Martin, he could shoot, he could score, he can hit, he might not be the best skater. Like if I had to actually argue his worst element, it is his skating. He moves, but it's a bit of a wonky stride. And I feel like when you get to the NHL, he's going to be a step behind some guys on that. But skating is one of the easiest things to fix. Like he's not a bad skater.
Yeah.
He's not, Matthew Schaefer out there.
It seemed to be his agility with the puck. And puck carrying is where he needs to kind of improve. And like you said, that's something that can be easily fixed. Get him with the right coaching staff, and they make an emphasis of it, and it's something to fix up. But Steve, thank you so much for taking the time. These are incredible answers that give us so much insight on what the combine is like, and somebody that Utah appears to be very excited about in a player like Brady Martin.
Every team wants a Brady Martin, and if you're a fan of Utah, you definitely want Brady Martin.
There you go.
Love that.
Thanks so much for talking to us, Steven. We will be right back after a short break. Welcome back to the Utah Hockey Podcast. We are here with NHL draftee
prospect,
yeah.
Brady Martin. Hi, Brady. Thank you for being on.
Hey, how's it going?
We are so excited to hear from you. Give us a little perspective on where you're at right now.
I'm at home. I'm just got back to the farm after the combine, so I'm just sitting and waiting till the draft day.
What kind of farm does your family have? What are you working on out there?
We have dairy cows, beef cows, chickens, pigs. We have a bit of everything.
I love this so much. This is like a big story on you, Brady. Being farm strong in general.
Brady, did you have any chores that you had to do this morning?
Yeah, no, I've been up since 6 o'clock. We've been.
Tell us what you had to
we've
do.
Been working. We were so me and my brother, we have some beef cows that we were moving around. So we had the trailer on the back, and we were moving them up to my papa's house.
I just want you to know that Utah fans love you already.
Yes.
Because you work on a farm. And I'm dead serious.
Yes.
With all the buzz, all the buzz about you this week, everyone's in on Brady Martin, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're a farmer. So you have a lot going for you.
I think it's to the point where no matter what happens at the draft, and we're super excited to just kind of be Brady Martin fans regardless. I think that's how most Utah fans feel.
Yeah.
It's just like, we like this guy already. he's one of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's not many farmers left anymore. So.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Being from Utah, we got a lot of those. So we know.
You'll fit right in.
We also have Sergachev, who's been raising his own chickens. So you're in good company. Yeah, he's been signing eggs.
Urban farming.
A little more urban. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the past couple weeks with going to the Combine.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. We got to go with a bunch of my buddies, so that was pretty cool. And I've grown up with them and I know them for like the last 10 years. So it's been fun. But yeah, the Combine was good. We had a bunch of meetings with a bunch of different teams, and you got to talk to everyone, which was pretty cool. And then obviously the testing at the end of the week was it was a lot of fun. And yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
That's so cool. Currently, we just got to speak to Stephen Ellis of the Daily Face-Off, who was talking about you a little bit, and there's been some comparisons more recently with Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers, who we just watched last night kind of go hit two guys and then go score a goal. What are your thoughts on comparisons like that?
Yeah, no, I love it. I think I watched the game last night, and as soon as he scored that goal, it might have boosted my stock a bit if people are comparing me to Sam Bennett. So, yeah, no, I think that's a good comparison. I think we play the same way, and yeah, to be compared to him it's definitely pretty cool.
Brady, I've watched a lot of your tape over the last few days, and you have an incredible physical game. Most of your hits definitely pack a punch. They leave a bite, and you're just consistently dropping guys on the ice or putting them into the boards. How would you describe your physical game, and how big a part of that is kind of your identity as a hockey player?
Yeah, no, I've always played physical. It's definitely a huge part of my game, and I think that's where I'm good. I think that's just another tool in the toolbox. I think I can score goals, but I think I can also go out there and play a third, fourth line role and just run guys over and make them hurt.
Do you ever practice on the farm by putting a cow on the ice and then just like trying to run them over?
No, I've never done that before, but
something to try. Cow tipping, but extreme cow tipping.
No answer. Brady's not going to answer anything that's going to get PETA called on him. If you could tell us a little bit about your interactions with the Mammoth and with maybe GM Bill Armstrong, as we call him here in Utah, and what kind of stuck out to you about your interactions with Utah, with the organization here in Utah?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of good chats, and I think they're pretty interested in me. And yeah, no, it was we talked a lot and got to know them pretty well. So yeah, at the Combine, I talked to them quite a bit and went out for dinner with them. And yeah, no, I have a good feeling about them, and I think they're really nice people. And I think Utah's a great spot to play. So if I get drafted by Utah, I think it'd be an honor and it'd be a pleasure to play there.
We're so biased, but we agree. We're a really great organization.
Yeah. Brady, what about the Mammoth intrigues you the most? Whether it's the roster or the facilities, the ownership, what's kind of drawing you, to Utah in hopes of potentially hearing your name called with that 4th overall selection?
It's a bit of everything. I think I talked to the GM Bill there, and he said the owner's really good and treats the players really well, and he's given us all the details on that. So that's definitely a big factor. I think just the training they do, they take it really serious. And yeah, the Mammoth, I guess they're a new team. I guess this is the first year they're called the Mammoth. So to be drafted by them would be pretty cool, to be one of the first players drafted by the Mammoth. So
especially being a player that has such a mammoth game.
Yeah.
Martin the Mammoth.
Yeah. I can already hear the chants happening at the Delta Center.
So, talking a little bit more about the organization, how do you feel like you would fit in, if you were selected by the Mammoth?
I think it'd be a good fit. They got a lot of young guys, and I think they're going to be good in the next couple of years. So I think if I can hop in and develop with them and grow as a player in person, I think I can hop right in there and help them try and win a championship.
I just want you to feel assured that within about 3 miles of our practice facility, there are hay bales, horses, cows. So I want you to feel right at home if that ends up being where we're headed. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Maybe I'll have to move down there and live on one of the farms.
Yeah.
There you go.
Brady, I guess kind of for any team, any fans that are listening, because we have fans that are kind of spread across the country in different ways, and
transplants, because we're a new team.
It's true. What's your pitch? Like, what's your maybe 30-second pitch for why a fan base should be excited to watch Brady Martin play in their colors?
Yeah, I think I'm just I'm fun to watch. I think I always have something going for me if I'm putting the puck in the net or running a guy over. I think I always have an impact on the game, and I chirp guys and I keep it fun. So no, I think
we love a chirp guy.
What's your best chirp?
Probably can't be said on here.
Good choice. You're already media trained so well.
Expected.
All right, fun question for you. Which other NHL draft prospect would make the best farmer?
That is one great question. I don't even know.
Maybe you're one of one. That's a fine answer too.
Yeah, no, I don't know any guys that know a lot about farming.
Maybe just based off their physique.
Yeah, no, maybe like Jack Nesbitt.
Okay.
I think he's a big boy. He's strong, so I think he could help out and do some of the heavy lifting for me.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, Brady, before we let you go, I know we kind of talked a little about it a little bit, but as I said earlier, Utah fans are very excited about you. They're excited about kind of the buzz that you were making this last week at the Combine. It seemed like every headline that was out there was, "Hey, don't sleep on Brady Martin. This is a kid that could definitely jump into that top 4, somewhere between 4 and 7, and obviously it's obvious, Utah likes you. So what's kind of your message to Utah fans if they are to select you, with that 4th overall pick? What do you want these fans to know about you?
I'm really excited to come down there and enjoy it and meet some new people, and I've never been that far away from home, so it's gonna be pretty cool, and to wear that jersey is going to be an honor too. It's a pretty cool jersey, and I just can't wait to get down to Utah if I would get drafted there, and meet the fans and the community. And I heard it's a pretty good hockey community, so it'd be exciting.
You heard correctly. It's a fantastic hockey community. Even though it's young, it almost, I feel like, is makes it a little bit more fun to be a part of the beginnings of something. So. We certainly hope that's the case.
I actually seen a Mammoth jersey or a guy wearing a Mammoth T-shirt down in Buffalo at the Combine.
There you go.
What are your thoughts on the logo? Do you like it?
Yeah, no, I'm a fan. There's a picture on Twitter of me photoshopped into it, and it looks pretty good. So.
I saw this too.
Did you print that off and hang it up in your room?
As a maybe.
I will if I get drafted.
Okay, I'm holding that too. I'm holding you to
that. Last year when they got drafted, they were not wearing Mammoth jerseys. So any draft potentials that we're going to have will be the first ones in the Mammoth jersey. Even the players haven't been in the jersey yet, so it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it'll be the first ever pick by the Utah Mammoth.
Right.
Yep. So
are you planning on attending, or will you have a lot of farm chores to take care of?
Like the draft?
Yeah, the draft.
No, I'm doing the draft from home.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll be doing too many chores, but I think
Are you a guy that's going to be calm, cool, and collected, or are you going to be a little nervous?
I'll be calm. I'm not too stressed out about it. So no, I'm ready for it, and I just thought I'd stay home and do it with a bunch of my family and the people that I love. So
awesome.
Love that.
That's us.
I'm telling you,
that's good.
Brady, you're just cementing yourself as a Mammoth legend, and we don't even know if you're going to play for him yet. So
we're going to cheer for you either way.
Yeah, you've got fans here in Utah, regardless of what happens, and we wish you the absolute best and are cheering for you, all the way from Utah, no matter what jersey you're wearing, unless you're here. Actually, unless you're playing here, we're not going to cheer for you. No. But as a player and as a person, we're all fans. So
yeah, Brady,
thank you so much.
This was a treat. We appreciate you coming on. Best of luck over the next couple of weeks, and we'll definitely be looking for your name on draft day.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Brady.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, guys. We were just live from the farm. What do you guys think about Brady?
What a gem. Now I'm getting a little bit emotional that we might not get him.
We already know that Kelly gets a little too attached to the players.
Listen.
As it is.
What a little cutie, though.
Yeah. Seems like a really, really solid kid and somebody who understands his role, too. I don't feel like it's super often that you hear a guy who's going in the top 10 be like, I can come in and play my role, and I can be a third or fourth line guy who just goes and acts as a wrecking ball who can also score. I think that says a lot about character, and I think no matter where he goes, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on a much, much higher line, and I would expect him to. So just the fact that he knows his game so well and knows his role, has played physical his whole life, I don't know. It's definitely it sucks a little bit because now I have this like expectation that I really want Utah to take him. But if they don't, it's all right. I'll love whoever comes here. But I think I'll be just a little bit of a Brady Martin fan for the rest of my life.
What I think is so interesting to reflect on, because it feels important to the Utah community, him just referencing his family farm.
Yeah.
Those are kinds of things that Ryan Smith is very attracted to as an owner. He really he values his own family a lot. So he loves that in a player as well. He's talked about that with the coach of the Jazz as well. So he could make it here.
Yeah, and the fact that he's staying with his family too during the draft. He's not going to, and his name would absolutely be called to go up on stage and accept a jersey.
Right.
But instead he's saying, and he wants to just hang out with the people that he cares about the most.
Yeah, what a cool kid.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you boil it down, he just, to me, is everything that Bill Armstrong is looking for.
Yeah.
They're big on character. They're big on a complete 200-foot game. They're big on, they're trying to get bigger on physicality. They're trying to legitimately get bigger. And yeah, he's 6 foot. He's not 6'3", he's not 6'4", but he plays like a true power forward. You heard Steve say that when we were talking to him. And the other thing that kind of stands out is, Steve was talking to some other scouts about, which guys are going to help teams win championships. And the fact that Brady Martin is on a lot of scouts' list just shows you how well they think that his game is going to translate to the NHL level, which I think it is too. And, kind of going back to, not only does he seem like what Bill Armstrong wants to draft, but he is what Utah needs in a lot of different ways. They need scoring, they need size, they need physicality. Brady Martin checks most of those boxes. Like I said, he's 6 foot. He's not overly big, but he plays really big. If you watch his highlights, his tape for 5 minutes, it's just like, oh my gosh, this kid they're all clean hits. Brutal.
Yeah. Lighting people up left and right.
I love those types of players.
Yeah.
We were talking about the finals, Sam Bennett the other night lays 2 just pulverizing hits and then scores a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the type of player you want. And this kid is drawing comparisons, not necessarily exactly like Sam Bennett, but in his style of play.
Sure.
Which, if you can't get Sam Bennett free agency, which you probably can't, why not go draft the kid that, that most
could be him.
Yeah, that plays like him the most in this upcoming draft.
And I think almost especially if you can get Sam Bennett in free agency, maybe there's more of a case to go and take little Sam Bennett. Because he's a child. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I grew a couple inches after the age of 18, and that kids can grow, and Sam Bennett's only 6'1", and or 6'1", and Brady Martin's 6 foot. Like, definitely can play a similar size game. And I think everyone's kind of seeing that highlight that goes around that you were talking about, where he lays a couple hits and then the whole sequence ends in him scoring a goal assisted by Noel Nord, who was the first ever player to be signed by the Utah Hockey Club. Just a guy who can do it all. And you were talking specifically about his motor, Cole. The kid just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know where he's getting his fuel from.
It's called farm strong, guys.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, kid has no quit.
I just can't believe, too, like, there were stories coming out about this kid who doesn't go train on ice. He's, like, in a rural part of Canada.
Yeah.
So he has a trainer come and they just do farm things. And I just think it's, like, the most, I don't know, something
now,
about it.
It's like a Mr. Miyagi situation.
Yes.
It's like a
yes.
Canadian Mr. Miyagi.
Consider his potential when he might grow a little bit more and he gets stronger and he gets into an NHL training facility and he's with coaches of that level. How good can he be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool.
But he's already good enough to be a top 10 pick. And a lot of people are asking, and Steve brought this up too, is it a reach for him to go up 4? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I really don't, especially based off how the combine went, what people are saying about him. Utah is very interested, and I think there's a really good chance that this is who they're going to pick. And, if you have an issue with that, again, I invite you, go watch his tape for 5 minutes, and you're going to be sold on him.
Yeah.
Because he is exactly what you want in a hockey player. And I think he's going to have a game that translates better than, a lot of the guys in this draft, because he's willing to do whatever's asked of him. He's got, he's relentless in both zones, forecheck, back check. And again, he just fits, I think, what Utah's looking for in terms of a more physical style type of player who is going to, start to shift things for them from a physical standpoint. Because a lot of games this last year, they were just run out of the building in terms of, going head to head in terms of hits. A lot of times it was double, for the other team. So
yeah,
I like Brady Martin a lot. There's a lot to like about a lot of players in this draft, and just trust that they're going to make the right decision. They're going to pick the right player. Bill has done a very good job of that. You look at Simashev and Boot; those were guys that got picked a lot higher than they were expected to go. So if that's what happens, trust that that this team is doing what's the best
Trust
for them.
in GMBA.
And I think Brady Martin would be an awesome pick.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Utah Hockey Podcast. This was so great to get to talk to these two people, especially just with some insight into until the draft coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to be talking about the draft, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. You can find the Utah Hockey Podcast not only on everywhere you get your podcasts. We are on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can also find us on video on KSL Sports YouTube page. You can find us under the podcast tab called the Utah Hockey Podcast. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Love ya.